So the Los Angeles Lakers have looked absolutely terrible as of late, as they're currently 16-18 and the 7th seed in the Western Conference. They have not looked good. They've probably been the most disappointing team so far this season, but absolutely none of the blame should go to LeBron James, as he's been absolutely phenomenal as of late, and this has led to a lot of people claiming LeBron James has no help, which is true, but it is falling into a usual pattern we see within LeBron's career, and I call it the LeBron James pattern. So in today's video, I'm just going to be talking about how this year's current Los Angeles Lakers squad fits into the LeBron James pattern, just talk about the pattern in general. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video, as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach my goal of 3,000 subscribers, also drop a comment on this video, as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro.
Easy. I thought the Lakers going to the Western Conference Finals.
The first step of the LeBron James pattern is for the team that he's currently on to have an offseason that is viewed overall as mostly good. For example, his team will add some good players, but also players that have questionable fits. This fits in with this year's Lakers squad, because during this offseason, a lot of people were claiming the Lakers were one of the biggest winners of the offseason, including myself, as they created a big three of Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis, and a lot of people were hyped about them signing a lot of role players like Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn, Trevor Ariza, Carmelo Anthony, and others, but we all knew there was going to be a fit problem, as they had Russell Westbrook, who's one of the hardest players to fit in NBA history, and all of their role players we acknowledged were old, so this fits in perfectly. Name some other LeBron James teams that have gone through this step. First, we gotta name the 2018 Cleveland Cavaliers, because everyone was hype about them trading Isaiah Thomas for Kyrie, and everyone was excited about them getting Dwayne Wade, and people were talking about how they're going to be better than the previous years, things like that. Also, if the 2019 Lakers, when they got LeBron, everyone was viewing them as a team that could be a top 5 seed in the conference. Everyone was really positive on the move before the year started. So it just shows you the first step to the LeBron James pattern has happened for many teams, and it's basically when the team he's on has an eventful offseason where a lot of people view his team in a positive way, even though there are some obvious problems with the team. Now to talk about step 2.
Y'all, we trying to be really nice about it. Well, but they look like hot garbage. I mean, that's what they are. I mean, wait.
The second step to the LeBron James pattern is that in the first half of the season, his team will start to underperform. Also, those big free agents who they got in the offseason will start to underperform. And regardless of LeBron James playing at an amazing level, they will not win as much games as expected. You could see that happening with the Lakers right now as we speak, as LeBron is playing some of the better basketball of his time with the Lakers. Yet the Lakers are constantly losing games to teams who aren't even good. And on top of that, the big free agents who they signed have been underperforming, such as Russell Westbrook, Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, Kent Bazemore, DeAndre Jordan, and others. And now there's a narrative coming out that LeBron James has no help. And I'm not saying it's a wrong narrative, but I'm just pointing out this has happened before. Other teams this has happened on is the 2018 Cavaliers, as they got out to a really rocky start, as they were barely above 500, and the key guys who were expected to be good, like Isaiah Thomas, Derrick Rose, Dwayne Wade, Jay Crowder, and others, all of those guys just really disappointed this season, to start the year, and it led to the discussion of whether or not LeBron had enough help surrounding him to make a deep playoff push. We also saw this with the 2017 Cavaliers, which is the team that was the team after they won the championship after coming back 3-1 from Golden State. They were kind of disappointing to start the year, so the narrative became that LeBron didn't have enough help to beat the Warriors in the finals. He had a good help overall, enough to make it out the Eastern Conference, but if he wanted to beat the Warriors, he would need more help. That became a big narrative back in 2017. So I just shown you the second step to the LeBron James pattern, which is you start the season off rough and several key players on your team underperform, and the narrative that LeBron James has no help starts to be built. And we have seen with previous teams like that, like the 2018 Cavs and the 2017 Cavs. On to step number 3.
To join them, but you got something better. You got a multitude of parts that helps this team. They became younger. They became better defensively. They became more athletic. And more importantly than that, everybody that they brought to the table is devoid of drama.
The third step in the LeBron James pattern is to trade a lot of the players who are underperforming on the team and trade them for pieces who you think will make the team better. And in some cases, they won't really help the team get better. And in some cases, they actually do make the team better. We haven't seen this yet with this year's Lakers because we're not at the trade deadline, but I definitely think we will see a lot of moves with guys getting traded. We even have started to hear some rumors about them wanting to trade Russell Westbrook and wanting them to just trade all their role players. So I definitely think that's going to be a step that's used this season. Some other teams we've seen like use this step is the 2015 Cavaliers, where they kind of started the season off disappointing. So they made a bunch of trades, for example, trading Dion Waiters, and then they got like J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert. They also got Timothy Mozgov. Overall, I think those were moves that helped them. Another obvious case of this is with the 2018 Cavaliers, because they traded nearly the whole damn roster, and they ended up like trading Isaiah Thomas, Dwayne Wade, Jay Crowder, Derrick Rose, along with others, and in exchange they got Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., Rodney Hood, and George Hill. They basically traded every single guy who was underperforming and traded them for a new player. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen with this year's Lakers roster. I think it's going to be a whole new roster, and the only people who are safe is LeBron and Anthony Davis. Another LeBron James team we've seen this apply to is the 2017 Cavaliers, the team that won like the year after they won the championship. They didn't really trade anyone who was underperforming, but they did make a lot of moves at the deadline, getting guys like Larry Sanders, Andrew Bogut, Derek Williams, Darren Williams, and also they made a trade for Kyle Korver. None of those moves really helped the team that much besides adding Kyle Korver, but I have just shown you the third step to the LeBron James pattern, which is that they trade the underperforming players and they get a bunch of like new players to add to the team. Sometimes it helps the team out, sometimes it makes them better, sometimes it doesn't do anything. I guess we'll have to see what happens with this year's Lakers squad, but on to the final step, which is number 4.
Seconds left, Cleveland triggers in. James, 2 seconds, 1 second to the win. LeBron James delivers!
The fourth step to the LeBron James pattern is whether or not that team improved or not from those trades. LeBron plays great and leads his team far to the playoffs, most times the NBA Finals. We haven't seen that yet with the Los Angeles Lakers because obviously none of those trades have happened yet, but I still think the same thing applies because whether or not the Lakers moves make them worse or better, I think LeBron's going to play fantastic, and I think he's going to lead them far into the playoffs, hopefully all the way. Prior teams this applies to is the 2018 Cavaliers, because after the trades, the Cavs weren't really that much better, yet LeBron was able to carry them all the way to the NBA Finals, literally putting them on his back. One of the most greatest displays of carrying ever. Generally, I think 2018 LeBron is the best basketball player I've ever seen. We also have seen this with the 2017 Cavaliers, as they were already a good team, and I wouldn't necessarily say LeBron carried them and he had no help, but he did play amazing and he did bring them all the way to the finals. The only time I could think about is of when LeBron didn't lead his team all the way deep in the playoffs is 2019, but he was injured, so cut him some slack. We also have seen this with the 2015 Cavaliers, where LeBron brought them all the way to the NBA Finals. I'm not going to lie, the 2015 Cavaliers, he actually didn't have that much help because the depth was really weak on that team, and there were several games and moments where he had to carry without Kyrie or Kevin Love. So that's another good example. But yeah, that's step number 4 of the LeBron James pattern, of where he just leads his team far in the playoffs. He rarely wins the title when he goes under this type of pattern. I don't think he's won a title after using this pattern, but he always leads his team far. But to conclude the video, this was not a hate video on LeBron. He's literally my favorite player in NBA history by far. I just found this pattern out, and I've seen it throughout his whole career, and I genuinely just thought it was really interesting. This season, I do believe LeBron James has limited help. He's playing some of the best basketball he has in years, and the Lakers are still losing. Hopefully they make some trades because they are my favorite team in the league, but I just don't see how the trades they make can make them way better, because no one has real trade value outside of Taylor Horton Tucker, and even then he hasn't been as amazing as you would hope. But regardless, I guess we'll just have to see. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Lakers are going to make enough moves. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach my goal of 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video as I do respond to all of my comments. And I'm out.